Well, hey there friends, it's Chris from the Rate the Record podcast. I have to record this a little quietly now because I decided to do this way too late at night and people are trying to sleep. So I'm going to be a little quiet, lean into the microphone and tell you that we got 3 new songs this week for the NMR. I'm in charge. Let's get started. Kind of just tiptoe my way over here, you know. Gotta be super quiet. So first up on the list we have Slowdive, who is a dream pop and shoegaze band out of Reading, Berkshire, England. They've been on the scene since 1989 and they've released 4 albums, that is up until recently. They just released their 5th album, Everything Is Alive, and the latest single that I'm taking a look at is Skin in the Game. So right off the bat I noticed that this song makes really good use of its stereoscape, and by that I just mean that there's layers of instrumentation that are kind of like bouncing in and out, and you can hear it in the right speaker, you can hear it in the left speaker. I think it adds a lot of good texture to the track. I really like that. Now, as I mentioned, this is a shoegaze band, and this song is very much that, just as it sets out to be, because there's a lot of atmospheric and effect-heavy layers all over this track, from the vocals, the instrumentation. I think the drums are the only thing that are truly clean in this, because other than the drum beat, it actually is indeed a very dreamy, flowy kind of song, but that's kind of what you expect out of a shoegaze style track. And that's exactly that. Overall, it does make for a good sleepy shoegaze track. I say sleepy, but I don't mean that in a bad way, because I mean, shoegaze is one of those things that despite how noisy it is, you can kind of just zone out, maybe even like nap if you wanted to, as long as it's not turned up too loud. That's definitely this kind of track, and I mean, if that's not your thing, you might not like this one too much, but I think it's okay, nothing super awesome. Still check it out though, see how you feel. Next up on the list we have NYOS, NYOS, I don't really know how to pronounce that, but regardless, that's who we have today, and they are a progressive instrumental noise rock or even metal style band from Finland, and their 8th studio album, Waterfall Cave Fantasy Forever, is set to drop this October, and the single that I'm checking out is Follow the Hawk Moth. Let's just go back to that title for a minute there, Waterfall Cave Fantasy Forever. Alrighty then. From the very first second of the song, you're already immediately hit with this really crazy drum groove and this like panic-paced staccato guitar just stabbing through, and it stabs through like the vast majority of the song too. It gets pretty proggy as it moves further into the track. Again, I did say it was progressive, so you can only expect that kind of thing. More guitars and bass eventually kick in, and the song picks right up into the energy too. You can't really call anything a verse or chorus, but the one part that keeps coming back I just refer to as the chorus, that's where a lot of the energy is held in, and I actually really like that part. As I mentioned previously, that stabbing staccato guitar that happens throughout most of the track, yeah, it does keep going, especially through the middle of the track too, when we get these more dreamy and atmospheric synths. It makes the song sound really pretty, and that's on top of a very still manic drum beat, but for some reason the drum beat still fits into this despite how crazy it might sound. Overall, it's still a pretty cool track though, don't get me wrong. This one has a lot of life to it and energy as well, obviously. Great use of layering, and it's a pretty interesting listen. I would say give it a try. I've listened to this band before, some of their older stuff. I've really enjoyed it, and I look forward to hearing the entire album. And finally on the list we have the band Crosses, and it's a 2-person project consisting of Deftones frontman Chino Moreno and Far guitarist Sean Lopez. They're an electronic band based out of Los Angeles, California, and they have plenty of EPs, but they've only just announced their 2nd full-length album, Good Night, God Bless You, I Love You, Delete. Again, another really long album title, but regardless, that's coming out in October, and the single that I'm checking out is Invisible Hand. There's this like choir-like chopper synth that starts the song off immediately, and it is a little jarring when it first starts, maybe a little initially sharp in the mix, but it feels better throughout the track as it goes and you think about it less and less, so I guess it does still make a good layer. It was just jarring to start the track with. There's also some really cool crushing bass that comes in, like synth bass, that pops up every once in a while through the verses, and it gives it a really cool industrial feel, so this one's kind of got a little bit of everything going on. The chorus gets a little synthwave, speaking of, you know, a little bit of everything in this track. You do have these kind of like airy, flowy synths, but it's on top of a very heavy and front-facing beat to kind of lead everything out. I would say that this is definitely the catchier of the tracks that I've covered so far in the NMR. It's not super catchy, but I think it is memorable enough. It has like some pretty distinguishable sections that you can grab onto. Overall, I think it's a pretty cool track though. I actually really like this one. Maybe it feels like it missed a bit of a bigger mark, but I thought it was still pretty cool. I'm not too let down by it or anything like that. I'll check it out, and I'll even go back and check out some of their old EPs too, because I like Deftones, and Chino Moreno also does Team Sleep, which I also really like that too, so hey, Crosses could be cool. Alright, that's everything I have for the NMR this week, so thank you very much for joining me and checking out all these brand new songs with me. Make sure you're letting me know what you thought of these songs down in the comments below of wherever you're watching, because I do like having these conversations. I want to know what you think about them. Do you hate them? Do you love them? Do you agree with me? Always curious to know. That's kind of the discourse that I want out of this. And speaking of discourse, make sure you're going to ratetherecord.ca. You're visiting over there because there's plenty to do. You follow us on social media and let us know your opinions over there as well. All the social links are over there. All the streaming links for the podcast can be found too. We sell merch. You can request albums. Join the RTR Club if you like us enough. Regardless, it's all found at ratetherecord.ca, so make sure you're checking that out. Speaking of the podcast, we had episode 86 of the Rate the Record podcast this past Monday, and this time around, we were celebrating the 25th anniversary of Korn's album Follow the Leader. I remember when that album debuted, so now I just feel like an old man, but regardless, we took a look at it. How well did this album age? Well, you're gonna have to watch the review to find out, or listen to, because there's audio portions that you can listen to elsewhere, but regardless, go watch that and find out what we thought about it. But other than that, that's all I have. So once again, thank you very much for hanging out with me. Let me know what you thought of the tracks, and until I see you next time, go listen to some awesome music. Take care, friends.